Obviously, a super innovative name, Daily Check-In. I vibe coded and replicated the form. I now, instead of having to read every single one, I get a summarized form and, hopefully keeps me more up to date faster.
What Clay does is it takes your leads and it allows you to write customized messages to them based on specific data and calculations. And OpenAI released what they call OSS 120B and OSS 20B. And what this means is these are models that have essentially zero cost to run.
Built this week, breaking it down. Built this week, we show you how. A fresh idea, a clever tweak. You locked in, you built this week.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Built This Week, the podcast where we share what we're building, how we're building it, and what it means for AI and startups. I'm Sam Nadler, co-founder of Ryz Labs. And this week and every week, I'm joined by my friend, business partner, and co-host, Jordan Metzner. How you doing, Jordan?
Hey, Sam. How's it going? Super excited to be back.
Yeah, we say this every week, but another crazy week in AI. We should probably stop saying that. But just to give you the docket really quick, we're going to have quickly present a tool I created this week, a little pivot than our normal routine. Then we're going to go into one of the tools we use frequently, Clay. We've just started using it, but it just recently also raised some money in the last few days at a pretty large valuation. And then we're going to go into some of the latest AI news from OpenAI. Any thoughts before we dive into the tool of the week?
Yeah, like you said at the beginning, kind of a crazy week. We've seen already releases from Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google. OpenAI has a huge press conference coming up today, the day of recording this episode. Expected, GPT-5. We'll talk about that soon. But it's been another hot week. A lot of demand for LLMs and new LLMs, and just puts pressure on some of the other LLM providers who are not up to speed. So yeah, lots to talk about this week. Super excited and super excited to see kind of what some of these opportunities bring as well. Just want to say really quickly, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And let's get going, Sam. Let's check out what you built.
Yeah, let's do it. And, one of the things I love about sharing every week, hopefully we can inspire, operators to use AI to build tools that have a, really quick impact on their organization. And some of the tools we present require a bit more effort. And some tools I really think that we present, anyone can do with just a little bit of time. Obviously, the more familiar you get with AI tools, obviously, the faster you can produce these tools. But what I'm going to present is something literally I built in the last week, launched on Monday. Already made some improvements from feedback from our team, iterated and have a, V2 out. So let me give a little bit of context. After operating Ryz Labs for 4 years now, both you and I have a lot of different teams that we need to engage with and communicate with. One practice we developed quite some time ago was that they fill out kind of a very quick 5-minute form. It's essentially a digital stand-up where, there's really 3 questions. One is, what did they complete yesterday? What are their priorities for today? And are there any blockers, immediate blockers? But there's really 2 goals with this form. One is to have our individual teams really think about, even if it's a quick 5 minutes, what is the biggest priority for today, and that we can see that. And then number 2 is they can communicate any blockers immediately. They don't have to wait for a time where we're in a meeting to bring it up. If there's something that's blocking their progress for that day, I get it first thing in the morning. Over time, our teams grew, and it somewhat became challenging for us to read 8, 9, 10 of these forms on a daily basis. So I said, why can't we just have AI summarize this and post to a Slack channel? And that's essentially what I built, was a little tool. So instead of using a Google form or Typeform, I vibe coded and replicated the form. And then I basically have a job that summarizes all the forms and posts to a Slack channel for you and I. So it kind of takes the most important things. And, part of my prompt structure for the summary was to highlight the blockers first, because in many ways, that's the most important thing. And now, I don't have to read every single form. It still gets posted to their original Slack channel, so that if I do want to dive into a specific form, I can easily. But I now, instead of having to read every single one, I get a summarized form. And hopefully keeps me more up to date faster. Obviously, a super innovative name, Daily Check-In. As you can see, it's a really simple form. I had one question, which is energy team level, optional if they don't want to report that. As you can see, they fill it out, and I can jump into, it's not my plan to come to this web app to see their individual responses, but you can see when they filled it out, it has everything that's going on for that team, recently completed, current priorities. But the real feature here is I get this AI summary, and this AI summary automatically posts to a Slack channel for you and I at a little after 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I can always go back to, I have like the historical check-ins, launched this week, so it doesn't go back too far, but if I select the date, I can always have them here. And I get some metrics, I would say is a light correlation for the really diligent teams who are on top of this versus the ones who sometimes forget on who's completing what they need to do during the day. It's not perfectly correlated, but I do have some metrics here on which teams, how often they're doing it on time, their completion rate, and then team management here. If a new team comes on board, I can add the team. But yeah, really overall, really simple built it in Bolt, and yeah, we use Supabase for the database and for the edge functions, and I used GitHub for the cron job. That's about it. I mean, I literally built this kind of in between meetings over a few days last week, got it live on Monday, and the teams are already using it.
So, I mean, this is a full stack web app, that you built from scratch. So, I guess the first question is maybe you should give a little background on how much software development you were able to do prior to AI and, prior to Cursor and some of these other tools.
Yeah. Prior to AI, I would say I knew a little bit of SQL. I could probably edit a few SQL functions. I'm by no means a developer. Now with AI and, I jumped on some of the tools pretty early, and I've built a few of these kind of small little tools for our own teams, made it so much easier for me to build something. I wouldn't say this is all that revolutionary, but, previously there was no way I would have been able to do this, build a custom little web tool that saved you and I time without AI. And now I'm learning, how to build edge functions and cron jobs, and it's all pretty easy with AI. Cumulatively, probably took me 2 hours total.
Whoa,
and,
that's crazy.
But yeah, overall, I built a kind of cute little web app that saves us time, and in, let's say, an hour and a half, really.
Okay, cool. Can you just walk me through kind of what the teammate has to do to fill out the form and how it works? Yeah,
I mean, it's super simple, but let's say you're the accounting team. Bada bing, you choose your team. You fill out, your priorities, like today's top priorities, recently completed would be maybe closed, July books. Any blockers or concerns, maybe, client XYZ overdue invoice, and team is on fire. And then they just submit the check-in.
Any ideas for kind of additional features or where this is going?
Yeah, I definitely need to add some permissions. Some teams have sensitive information, and right now I don't have those permissions, but I will layer those on. And I've just asked the teams to kind of withhold any super sensitive information for the time being. And we have some other tools where this may, be a better fit integrated into those tools. So that would be kind of another phase to this project.
Cool. Yeah. Super cool. Great job. Yeah, and then another idea I thought of just listening to you out loud could be leveraging AI when it does the summaries to do a look back against the last 7 days of the work that's been completed, or the forms that have been completed, just to see whether or not, kind of what they said yesterday has correlation to today, and et cetera, and if there's any kind of something that fell out of the mix or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, are we completing what we're prioritizing, and have AI review that? But one really quick thing that I do want to bring up, just as we were talking, this did work really well. Yesterday, one of our teams reported a blocker. So specifically right here, our sales team, and this popped up in our AI summary, ran out of credits for a tool we use. And I was immediately able to get in, top off the credits to bridge the app for when our kind of plan renews. And that's exactly what I wanted it for. Previously, not saying this is a huge deal, but maybe I would have read that form a little later in the day, but I got the summary. It was top of mind in the summary, and I was immediately able to jump in and fix the problem for her. Is it game changer? No, but I think it's always helpful when your team knows that you're that much faster to react to whatever's blocking them from doing their best work.
Well, great job. Honestly, I think it's really good. It's really cool. All right, let's jump in the tool of the week. I think this one goes back to you as well. But yeah, let's talk about Clay. They just announced, I don't know what series it is, but a $3 billion plus evaluation. So obviously very popular in the sales community. Tell us a little bit about how we're using Clay and what you like about it.
Yeah, so Clay is a tool we recently started using. And just to give a high level description, it's an AI powered prospecting and workflow automation tool. So what does that really mean? You can pull leads in and then really enrich those leads with job titles, et cetera, and then build custom workflows. Then you can, connect your it looks like a spreadsheet. I forgot. They call it a Clay table. Then you can use OpenAI to help personalize each of those leads based on different essentially functions you write. That could be summarizing LinkedIn profiles or, different insights. So the way we use Clay, and I would, also caveat that we're somewhat at the beginning of using Clay. I think we can go significantly deeper. But, for our outbound sales initiative, previously we were targeting our ICP and basically asking them, hey, do you want to use our services? This is what we offer. And, to some degree, that's a spray and pray approach. And, honestly, not that effective. With Clay, we're able to take our ICP, understand exactly what roles they're looking for. So we're able to know and target that they have two, let's say, front-end engineering roles. And then we are able to layer on kind of a function that says how much they'd save if they'd hire those front-end engineering roles for us. So instead of just saying, hey, Jordan, would you like to use Ryz Labs services? It says something like, obviously the copy's a little bit better, but it says something like, hey, Jordan, I see you have 2 front-end engineering roles available. Did you know if you hired with Ryz Labs, you'd save approximately $20,000 a month on those 2 roles? And we can be way more granular, way more personalized, directly describe the value proposition, and still have, still be contacting hundreds of people a day with this kind of personalized outreach. So there's probably dozens and dozens of ways we could get more sophisticated with this, but that's how we're using it right now. And it's been early, but there's a little bit more traction than our previous method. And it did take us a while to get set up and figure out what our angle was.
But so just to summarize, what Clay does is it takes your leads and it allows you to write customized messages to them based on not just who they are, but specific data and calculations and all different types of customization so that each email feels as custom as possible.
Exactly.
Okay. And then once it writes those emails, does it send them for you, or what do you do from there?
No, you have to push them to either your CRM or your email tool. We use Instantly. So it doesn't send them for you. It enriches, it uses AI to create that custom personalized message. And then you push that to your email tool. For us, that's Instantly. That pushes it to like whatever sequence you're using, 2 email sequence, 5 email sequence, whatever.
Any other feedback or comments on Clay? Overall, pretty cool tool.
I'm sure we could go way deeper and make it even more personalized, potentially call out different things on people's LinkedIn profiles. So I think there's additional ways we could make it look like we're doing a lot of research on our ICPs, which ideally, is the best way to do it. It's just, hard to do that at scale. So, but yeah, we're excited to use it and see where it goes. Yeah, let me cue you up. I think it was yesterday, OpenAI released 2 open source models. I know that was exciting for you. What does that mean?
Today, as we're recording this, it seems like OpenAI is going to announce even more new models. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But OpenAI released what they call OSS 120B and OSS 20B. And what this means is these are models that have essentially zero cost to run. So you're only going to have to pay for the servers to run them, versus the previous models from OpenAI were available only through OpenAI's APIs. And so with this open source opportunity, you can actually host the models on your own computers. And for the 20B model, you can run that on most computers. And what that means is that you can, use things like have it program all night long while you're sleeping and just use the power of your local computer. Or for the 120B model, it's a pretty powerful model. It's equivalent to almost 4.1 or even close to O3 style model. But you can get it running on a much cheaper infrastructure, something like Grok, or I saw, AWS announced it. And so what you're able to do is do things that have almost, negligible cost, except running the server to run those performances. And so you basically get, the ability to do almost anything you want with ChatGPT at a cost of 0. And if that means the cost is 0, it means you can scale up how often you could run these servers, and you can run them frequently and concurrently, and you can go horizontal and vertical, but you could just have a server read every single line of code nonstop, like in your entire code base all night long. And once it's done, you could have it start again type of thing and just look for bugs, right? And you could have another one that's just working on documentation, another one that's just working on something else. And, literally imagine that the cost of running these LLMs is going to 0. And I just wanted to give a quick demo of it. I don't know if we'll have time to chop it up or put it in, but this is GroqCloud. This is a open source cloud solution provider where, they have hosted models that are open source, including Facebook models. And here we have the OSS 120B model. And what's cool about GroqCloud is it's incredibly fast. So I wrote here, you're a marketing expert as my system prompt, but you talked a little bit about Clay and customization. But, let's just say I wanted to do something like, write me, let's just say 10 emails to tell people about our new advertising for our podcast built this week, the AI podcast with Sam and Jordan. Cool. So, it may not know about Built This Week since it's like a pretty new podcast and it might not be in its repertoire already. But if you just watch the speed and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, let's go. And boom. Email is done 7, 8, 9, 10. And there you go. There's 10 emails. And so you could just see that, maybe they're not perfect. Maybe we need to go back. Maybe I want to say like, no dashes, and then, let it run again. The last one took 5.3 seconds. So now it's writing it again with no dashes. And that one took 4.2 seconds. So you can just see the power and speed of leveraging these models. And the cost is, going to 0. And if the cost goes to 0 or, close to 0, it means that you can do a lot more things. So yeah, any questions about that one specifically?
Yeah, from its strategic perspective, for OpenAI, what do you think this means?
Well, I think what it means is that, if you want to have a commercial model of a LLM, you need to have it better than OpenAI's open source model, right? And so it creates a moat around their product saying, look, our premium models are going to be better than our open source models, but, if you want to compete with us, your models better be better than our open source models also. Otherwise, why would anyone talk to you? So it raises the tide and it creates a moat around OpenAI. It makes it look like from their perspective, hey, these are just our open source models. Like these ones don't even mean that much to us. We'll give these ones away for free. Eventually these open source models, even now are good enough for many tasks. And, when the cost is so cheap and so fast to run, then you start to open up your ideas to your mind as to what can this do or what can we do to, be more efficient within our organization.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's a great segue. Like, hey, these aren't even our best models. We're giving them away for free. What is being launched today?
So hard to say. We're recording right now, and I think the launch happens in just about 15, 20 minutes. But, rumor has it that GPT-5 is, supposed to come out today. Obviously that means we'll see something even better than these open source models. Excuse me. All right. Yeah. So GPT should be launching today. There were some leaks on a GitHub website showing that there's, multiple GPT-5 models coming out, including a mini, a nano, a chat-based model, and including a standard model for complex coding tasks. I think it's going to be impossible to believe that they're going to launch a model that's not better than what we're seeing from Claude Opus right now on the market. I mean, otherwise it just, wouldn't grab much attention. I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be another step forward in LLMs and what people can do with them. I think we might see an update to OpenAI's Codex, which is their competitor to Claude Code. So it's hard to say what's coming, but it's obvious what's coming is another leap forward improvements.
Super exciting, just the progress. When was the last major launch from OpenAI?
Well, yeah, I mean, except the open source models came out this week. We saw Gemini launch, some new tools called Genesis. We saw Anthropic launch Opus 3.1, I believe it's called. We're continuing to see improvements from, all the major laboratories. But OpenAI has been kind of leading the way, except in the coding space. And I think this might be their first opportunity to really take it to the next level. So
anyway, Jordan, great episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Built This Week at anywhere where you find podcasts. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
It's been a super exciting, fun episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you can get our new episodes that drop every Friday. And Sam, great episode. Great job on what you built, and super excited to see what's coming up next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Sam. Bye.
Built this week, breaking it down. Built this week, we show you how. A fresh idea, a clever tweak. You locked in, you built this week.